Hello, everyone. I'm Joe McCracken, and this module is about choosing a business name. So let's get to it. All right, so what's in a name? And it turns out there's a lot more than you would think when it comes to a name. And as some background, I do own another business, a craft type business where I make felted wool handbags. And I spent about a year trying to come up with a cute, catchy name. And after all that time, I went through the steps that I'm going to talk about in a minute, only to find out that the name was already taken and I was back to the drawing board. So I ended up just picking a name that was okay because I just wanted to get my business going. And I honestly think that choosing a business name is one of the hardest parts of starting a business. So what exactly does choosing a business name entail? Well, let's take a look. So a little Shakespeare quote here: a rose by any other name would smell as sweet unless you don't have a name. And coming up with a good name should reflect what you do, such as Bob's Barbershop or Harriet's Hair Emporium. It just helps people know who you serve right off the bat. You're not making people think too hard about it. They know instantly from your name what it is you do. And it's a good idea when you're trying to come up with business names to come up with about 5 as well. And I'll get to that, why that is, in a minute. But if you're stuck on one name and you can't use it, you need backups. So something to think about when you come up with a name is that depending on your legal entity type, that name might affect your business name. For instance, if you are a sole proprietorship, most states require that your name has to be in the business name somewhere. For instance, Joe McCracken Accounting or McCracken Accounting Services. Could I call myself Independence Accounting Services? Yes, I can, but then I'd have to file a fictitious name or an assumed name statement with my Secretary of State's office. For a partnership, you have to have partnership in the name. For a limited partnership, it has to say that it's a limited partnership using limited or LTD. For an S corporation or a C corporation, you have to have corporation or Inc. in the name. For an LLC, you have to say LLC in the name. So your official business name has to reflect what type of legal entity you are. So here's why I say you should come up with multiple names. The name may be already taken. Depending on what type of business you have, you should start with the Secretary of State's office in your state. In the attachment section of this module, I've attached these offices in all 50 states, so you have them at your fingertips. If the name is already taken in your state, you need to come up with a different one. There's a business search in your Secretary of State's office in every state, so you can try to check to see if the name is already taken in your state. So go to that site, run your name, and see if it's already taken. If it is already taken, there can't be 2 businesses in the state with the same name. So you need to rinse and repeat until you find a name that's unique and not taken by somebody else in your state. Once you find a name that passes through your Secretary of State's business search, the next step is to go to GoDaddy.com or register.com and look for a website with your name. See if somebody already has that website. If somebody already has it, then you may want to try to change your name, or depending on if you want to be a local business or a national, international business, you could just change the name a little and get a website with your name. It's much easier to do that if you plan to be a local business, though. If you plan on being a national brand, we have a little bit of a different story here. So if you have a local barbershop or a hair salon, you're most likely not going to worry about your name outside of your state. But what if you want to open a business that has franchises with your name? Then you're going to have to find a name that's unique and passes that test in all 50 states. So with billions of people in the world, it's tough to find a completely unique name. which is why companies have odd names like Google or Twitter or Oracle. And Oracle as a name is a little tricky because it's a word already. I doubt Oracle could sue Warren Buffett for being called the Oracle of Omaha. It's best to invent a word that's not already in existence if you plan to go national or international, or use some sort of law firm or legal search to make sure that name is not used anywhere in the 50 United States or even internationally. You can't trademark a common word. So if you want to be able to defend your name from copycats who try to piggyback on your success, you need to come up with an original name. It can also cause confusion with customers, which is why big companies defend their names vigorously in the court system. They don't want anyone else to use their name and confuse customers thinking it's them when it's not. So there you have it. As I mentioned, coming up with a good business name is the hardest part to do when you start a business. You can change your name later, but that can be expensive and a real hassle. You have to rebrand yourself and possibly lose customers. You have to file your new name with the Secretary of State's office, get all the legal and accounting work done, new business cards, letterhead, etc. Plus, changing your website and all your social media accounts can really drive up the cost of changing your name. So choose your business name wisely. I hope this helps trying to come up with a name for your business, and I'll talk to you soon. See you in the next module.